features off-road highlights.
The Tusk Resort in Mmabatho was the base for the recent O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel 500, round 5 of the hotly contested MSA Off-Road Car Championship. 31 special vehicles and 33 production vehicles entered for the event, which included a 35-kilometer time trial to determine the starting order for Saturday's main event. Organized by the Mafeking Motor Club, the event has a reputation for being one of the fastest on the national calendar. While the Ford, Nissan, Mitsubishi and Toyota Works teams were out in force, there were a few privateer teams that could upset the apple cart, notably among them the Jeep, Land Rover and N1 4x4 teams. As always, there were the last-minute preparations and documentation to attend to before proceedings got underway. There's just no stopping the father and son team of Franz Czepek Sr. and Jr. They have won the special vehicle category 4 times in a row this season and built up an almost unassailable lead.
We need one more good run or one more win, and we must probably clinch the championship. So we're in a nice relaxing position, but nevertheless we always box on and we'd like to possibly add another victory. So we're going to go for it. We're going to see what we can do.
O'Hagan's directors John Weir-Smith and Jeff Minnett have had an up and down season, but are nevertheless in a comfortable second place in Class A of the Special Vehicle Championship.
I think the event's going to be quite difficult in that it's a very, very, very fast race. I think they're talking about an average of close to 100 kilometers an hour. I don't know whether they're going to be able to slow the cars down. There's quite a few cars that have got a lot of horsepower here. You've got Shamir Variawa running about 580 horsepower. These sort of cars are going to have a huge advantage for this particular race. I think if we need to just keep it on the road and just be consistent, I think we'll do well.
The Jimcos dominate the top placings, and reigning Class B champion Hilnell has a comfortable lead in the Class B championship in the Look Africa Truggy. Shimmy van Vieren has been toppled from his pedestal by Bucks Carolyn, who's moved into the production vehicle championship lead after consistent performances in the Works Mitsubishi Pajero.
Well, we've been consistent, and we've had 4 races, 4 finishes. So we had to win the war, not the battles. And I'm very happy with the car at the moment. We just wait for our chance. It's so competitive in the T1 class that any car can really win. I mean, there's 9 cars there that can win the race, so we're just going to take our chances, and if our luck comes up, we'll win a race, but we're going to be there anyway. All the time, the guys know it.
A class win in the Mitsubishi Barbaspan 500 and consistent finishes in the other events sees privateer Kutsia Labuschagne in a commanding position in the highly competitive Class E for 4-cylinder buckies.
We're going full out this year. It's much more difficult for the privateers to get anywhere. You know, it's quite an expensive sport and everything, and we rely on quite a variation of sponsors to keep us there. But yeah, we hope it's going to go well, and we aim to finish as well as we can get around in this race. I hope it's got to be quite fast, so we'll see how it goes.
Van Vieren trails Carolyn by a mere 2 points, with the other contenders for the championship crown, Piet Haasbroek and Hannes Vobler, 26 and 30 points behind the leader, respectively. Nissan entered a Class D hardbody for Westbank V8 and international sports car star Gary Mmabatho. Mmabatho would be standing in for an injured Mike Griffiths.
It's fantastic. It's better than sitting at home on the weekend, and what's more, to come with a fantastic team like Nissan and for them to give me the opportunity is great, and looking forward to it. Got an experienced navigator in Mike Griffiths, so I'm going to listen to him. He's going to be my eyes, and I'm just going to drive the thing as fast as I can without bending it, hopefully.
The time trial was run in class order, with the Class T Super Trucks first off the line. Reigning champions Neil Woolridge and Kenny Skolthammer got last and would start 57th. R.P. Reiniger and Robin Houghton got it all wrong in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, and instead of sticking to the road, they charged through a donga and found themselves without gears. Not a good start to the event for the former champions, who've had a dismal season so far. Lichtenberg 400 winners Cliff Barker and Malcolm Hubert were on a mission, with their prime objective being to beat the much-fancied Works teams in their privately entered Barker Performance Products Land Rover.
A bit frustrating. We sort of came up the first turn over here. When RP went down in the gear, just suddenly we had no driver going. It seems to be the same problem as we had on the desert race. Bit frustrating. Obviously, we thought we'd found the solution.
On board with former track star Hanil de Villiers in the Nissan hardbody, as he passes Barker, who had picked up a puncture which would see him start 58th. The talented youngster has one win under his belt, but could count on huge pressure from his veteran teammate Hannes Hobbler in a similar V6-powered vehicle. Hobbler too has one win to his credit this season. Third fastest in Class T was the Monster Vacation Vans Jeep of Stratford Voigt and Scott Abraham. The 5.9-litre V8 powered truck has been on the pace all year, but frustratingly has been sidelined by minor mechanical problems. The Class A special vehicles were up next, with reigning special vehicle drivers champion Shamir Bariawa and co-driver Zahir Badania leading the way in the V6-powered Cornbake Foods Jimco. They would start in second place on Saturday. Father and son team Gary and Bodo Berthold were out in the locally built M&E Glass Dirtco, which is powered by a Nissan V6 engine similar to that in the Class T Nissan hardbodies. Championship leaders Franz Czepek Sr. and Jr. are a formidable combination in the Porsche-powered V-Motors Chenoweth and maintained a steady pace to post the 5th fastest time in the time trial. Former Nissan touring car driver Duncan Foss and radio celebrity co-driver Jonathan Cramp set a blistering pace in the Class D Valid Value Nissan and would start in 8th place on Saturday. Newcomers to Class B, Henry Kirstein and René Huster, powered their newly acquired DDS Sandmaster to the fastest time in Class B and would start 19th the following day. A welcome return to form saw Andrew and Chris Birkin dominate Class E in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. They would start 8 positions ahead of their nearest rival in Class E. 5 special vehicles and 5 production vehicles in the top 10, with Peniel de Villiers posting the overall fastest time. Shamir Variawa would be the first special vehicle away the following day. Another of those early morning starts, so common in South African off-road racing, awaited competitors. To add to their discomfort, it was bitterly cold, and for anyone running from the second position down, dust and poor visibility would be a major problem.
The routes, it's changed a lot as to last year. Last year was a lot faster. The guys didn't appreciate that very much. This year we've changed it quite drastically. It's very similar to the motorbike route we had beginning of the year. Obviously they couldn't go into some of the technical sections, which we took that out. There's a top loop which is about 40-50 k's, very similar to in fact identical to the desert, as we just border on the Kalahari Desert here. So it's going to be an open race. It's going to give the productions and the specials, each one is going to have a fair chance of doing well tomorrow. So it's not just going to be flat out for the faster production vehicles.
Running first on the road gave Peniel de Villiers and co-driver Francois Jordan in the Nissan hardbody a distinct advantage over the rest of the chasing pack. But they would be faced with having to clear the route for the rest of the field. Shamir Variawa and Zahir Badania also had an edge over the rest of the field in that they only had the Nissan's dust to contend with. The Cornbake Foods Jimco sounded sweet in the crisp morning air. Chasing hard were father and son pair Bodo and Gary Berthold in the M&E Glass Dirtco, but they would eventually be forced into retirement when a brake disc came loose. On board with Hannes Hobbler and Richard Leake in the Nissan hardbody Super Truck, the veteran pair won the Mitsubishi Barberspan 500 and were intent on making up for a disappointing non-finish on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. The Czepeks were comfortably placed in 5th position. Franz Sr. starts the race and Franz Jr. takes over at the midway point, a strategy that has paid off handsomely for the talented duo in the past. John Weir-Smith and Jeff Minnett couldn't have enjoyed having to race in choking dust. They had started 6th in the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel Jimco and were playing a waiting game at this early stage of the race. Brothers Lawrence and Gerard Duplessis were on their customary charge in the newly liveried Porsche-powered Chenoweth that was previously raced by Shamir Variawa. Leading Class D were Duncan Foss and Jonathan Cramp in the Valid Value Nissan hardbody, but they had Shumi van Vuren and Varney Kotze in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser closing in rapidly. Van Vuren has 3 class wins to his credit this season. The Vacation Vans Jeep had moved up a place to 10th overall after only 5 minutes of racing. Stratford Voigt and co-driver Scott Abraham had one aim in mind, and that was to finish at all costs. The ex-Dagger Mitsubishi Pajero, with reigning special vehicle co-drivers champion Bucks Carolyn behind the wheel, has performed consistently but has yet to win a race this season. Reigning Class D champions Hein Hobler and Gerard Prinsloo have had 2 non-finishes in the Valid Value Nissan Hardbody this season, which has dashed their hopes of retaining the title. Newcomers to Class B, Henry Kirstein and René Riester, had an early grip on the glass in the ex-Niels Eriksson Chenoweth that won the class on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. 45 minutes into the race and there was a traffic jam at a Marshall Point, with cars arriving thick and fast. Among those was Neil Woolridge and Kenny Skolthammer in the Ford Ranger. They'd started 57th and had already moved up to 28th place. Bevan Berthold and Brandon Harker started 60th, and after an hour of racing had made up 28 places. Henry and Maurice Zamatin had moved up from 63rd to 35th place on the road in the Sony PlayStation Pajero, while Cliff Barker and Malcolm Hubert, who started 58th, were now running 37th overall in the BMW M3 powered Land Rover. On board with Hannes Hobler and Richard Leake in the Nissan Hardbody. Listen carefully. The gearbox self-destructed and forced the pair into early retirement.
Yes, we had some bad luck. It's now 3 in a row, 2 off-roads and 1 rally, so I hope it's now finished. The bad luck, the worst of the whole thing is probably our championship. I think the chances are very slim that we'll win the championship this year. We'll give it a go in the last few off-roads, but I think it was really bad luck for us for the championship.
Drama too in the Mitsubishi camp as technicians work frantically to repair Carolyn's Pajero. The delay would put the team out of contention for a podium finish.
The diff went after 15 Ks and we decided rather to come back here and to fix it than carry on there, because we only had front wheel drive and it was pointless going on because the next thing the front diff will go. So we came back here, we knew we had a spare diff. It's going to take us an hour and a half to fix it, but at least we'll get back into the race, we'll have no dust and we'll be there. We're going to go and chase those oaks.
On board with race leaders Hanil de Villiers and Francois Jordan in the Nissan Hardbody Super Truck. Having to clear the route at high speed is enough for crews to have to contend with, let alone having to avoid stray cattle. Holding on to second place and the special vehicle lead were Shamir Bariawa and Zahir Badanya. The Johannesburg-based cousins are also part of a new breed of young, up-and-coming competitors who are starting to put their stamp of authority on off-road racing. Diamond prospectors, Lawrence and Gerard Duplessis from Schweizer-Reneke, were mounting a challenge and were well placed behind special vehicle leader Bariawa. 4th on the road and 3rd in the special vehicle category was exactly where the Chepex wanted to be at this stage of the race. The thick sand proved to be a problem for many of the two-wheel drive vehicles. Yogi Hubert had his wife, Elmarie, in the co-driver's seat, and the pair had moved up 11 places into 5th after 2.5 hours of racing. Woolridge and Skolthammer had made up 51 places in the V8-powered Ford Ranger and were 6th overall and 2nd in the production vehicle category. A phenomenal performance. Running strong and leading Class D was Shumi van Vieren and Vani Kotze in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. But mere seconds behind them were Hein Hobler and Gerard Prinsloo in the Class D Valid Value Nissan Hardbody. The 3rd place Class D entry was the Petronas Isuzu of Mark Corbett and Juan Moore, fresh from a class win in the Toyota 1000 Desert Race.
What happened? A puncture. We came off from the sand here.
Bad luck for Hein Hobler. Time lost with this puncture would cost him a potential class win. Cliff Weichelt and Johan Smolberg had moved up to 10th overall after starting 46th in the Lexus V8-powered N1 4x4 Toyota Land Cruiser. Newcomers to off-road racing, Mark Ferguson and Blackie Swart, were having a steady run in the Drinks Galore Chenoweth and lying 5th in the special vehicles category. The designated service point and midway through the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel 500, and there was a new race leader. Shamir Bariawa and Zahir Badanya had got by Hanil de Villiers and Francois Jordan. A great performance from the reigning special vehicle driver.